All right, let's open up our Bibles to Genesis, and we'll be in chapter 26. Hope everybody's doing good. And we'll be reading a little bit about some drought and famine. I know we've had sweat. I think who did spit salt from this one? Called it sweat timber and hot tober. But hopefully we can identify a little bit of what's going on in Isaac's life. We'll be there this morning. And we're looking today as this past Sunday, we're looking really at the omnipotence of God. That God is all powerful, that He can do whatever He wants, whenever He wants to, however He wants to do it, and He's not checking in with us to see if we agree or not, right? And and we're looking at the life of Isaac and Rebekah and the birth of Jacob, and of course Esau, and which one really kind of got the preeminence, the whole deal. And usually it's with the oldest son that everything is transferred to, right? In inheritance, the executive of the estate, if you will. Well, God has a way of changing up our little customs, so just to show who's in charge sometimes, and also too, just for a reminder that God does things the way He wants to. And so we see that with Jacob and Esau, and God showing us that He's all powerful. Today we're looking at how God is everywhere. He's omnipresent. And He can be right here with us, but He can be somewhere else at the same time. So I've got a picture I want to show you, just kind of drive that home. So do you recognize that big, large yellow thing? What is that? The sun. Very good. Astronomy class, you get an A. And the little dot there that says you live here is where? Very good. Right? And then on that little blue, dusty mud ball is, we're here on a continent which is contained in a nation of which you live in a state, which you live in a county, which you live in probably a municipality or somewhere else in Raven County. Right? But think about how big the sun is in relationship to planet Earth. I mean, it's just a little marble compared to a giant, huge ball of helium gas, right? But then, I don't have this for you, but just picture in your mind the Milky Way galaxy. You in the solar system are just a dot on the Milky Way galaxy, of which there are, as Carl Sagan would say, billions and billions of stars in other galaxies. So I want, before we got into, and just to drive home the point one more time that God is omnipotent, that He is all powerful, because Psalm 33 says that He just breathed out the stars. He breathed them out, and then He called each one by name. In other words, He named them. All those stars. So He's pretty smart too. Smarter than us in our theology books sometimes. So, the heavens can't contain them, the Scripture says, right? A.W. Tozer said it this way: God is not contained, He contains. Kid, you said this, that God surrounds and fills the universe with the sea of His presence. Yet at the same time, He's a God who is near, who's close. And that's hard for us to fathom. Every other world system of belief says that's the idea of God, that He is far, far away, and that we're nothing, and that we're small, but we're dirty. And we are. We're sinful. We get that. But we have to somehow, therefore, get to Him. So that's not the God you see in this book that you hold in your hands. I want to just flash a few scriptures before we read Genesis 26. One is Jeremiah 23. Am I a God who is near, declares the Lord, and not a God far off? Can a man hide himself in hiding places so I do not see him? Declares the Lord. Do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares the Lord? Jeremiah 23. Here's another one, Psalm 139. Where can I go from your spirit? Oh, where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, that's in the center of the earth, that's hell, Hades. Behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the dawn, if I go on the remotest part of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will lay hold of me. He's a God who's both near, and a God who's far off, and a God who knows you, and a God who desires and establishes a relationship with us through Jesus. So, which is totally foreign if you go to any other belief system in the world. See, what David's saying there is that God is present everywhere that David would go. I mean, remember Jonah? He tried that puppy out, didn't he? I can run away from God, you know? It didn't work out too well for him. I mean, he found out what the depths of the sea were like pretty quick. So, God, with his people, us, he's making, Cliff made reference to that earlier, that we are the fulfillment of all these promises. God is spatially, like in space, present everywhere. He is also especially present with his children. He's everywhere, but he's with you and you and you and you and you all at the same time. The Bible speaks of God's presence or nearness, that he's present with us in order to bless us. Does that make sense? Sometimes things the other way around. He holds us accountable, that's for sure. But he's with us in order to bless us. So all of God is always with us in every single place at all times to protect us and to bless us. So do you believe that? Yes. All right. We're going to see this passage 3 times in chapter 26 that God tells Isaac some type of blessing, past, present, future. I'm going to bless you, Isaac. Whether you like it or whether I check in with you or not, I'm going to bless you. Okay? And Isaac is a recipient of that, and he's going to therefore be a blessing to others. Just like God promised to his daddy, Abraham. I'm going to bless you so that you're therefore a blessing to the nations, and we're going to see it with these Philistines who just wind up being a thorn in his side as the rest of Israel. But let's see that. We've got to read the passage. Let's read in Genesis 26. Y'all want to stand for this? Let's stand for it. If you can't stand, it's okay. We've got 34 verses. Verse 1. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine that had occurred in the days of Abraham. So Isaac went to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines. The Lord appeared to him and said, do not go down to Egypt. Stay in the land of which I shall tell you. Sojourn in the land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your descendants I will give these lands. I will establish the oath which I swore to your father Abraham. I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven. I will give your descendants on all these lands, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Isaac lived in Gerar. When the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, she is my sister. For he was afraid to say, my wife, thinking the men of the place might kill me on account of Rebekah, for she is beautiful. It came about, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out through the window and saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing his wife Rebekah. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, called Isaac, and said, behold, certainly she is your wife. How then did you say she is my sister? And Isaac said to him, because I said I might die on account of her. Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us. So Abimelech charged all the people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Now Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him, and the man became rich and continued to grow richer until he became very wealthy. For he had possessions of flocks and herds and a great household, so that the Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham's fathers, the Philistines stopped up by filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, go away from us, for you are too powerful for us. And Isaac departed from there and camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he gave them in that same days which his father had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of flowing water, and the herdsman of Gerar quarreled with the herdsman of Isaac, saying, the water is ours. So he named the well Esek, because they contended with him, and then dug another well, and they quarreled over it too, so he named it Sidnah. He moved away from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it, so he named it Rehoboth, for he said, at last the Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land. Then he went up from there to Beersheba. The Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. So he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with his advisor Ahuzath and Philcol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, why have you come to me, since you hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, we see plainly that the Lord has been with you. So we said, let there now be an oath between us, even between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, so that you will do us no harm, just as we have not touched you and have done to you nothing but good, and to have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed of the Lord. Then he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. In the morning they arose early and exchanged oaths. And then Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. Now it came about on the same day that Isaac's servants came in and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, we have found water. So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemouth, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they brought wreaths of Isaac and Rebekah. Father, we thank you for your word. We thank you that it changes lives. Lord, we know that today that the enemy is working to stop the work of your gospel through your church, filled with your spirit. God, I pray that you would protect us, but also go before us. And Lord, give us ears to hear. Thank you that you're with us right now. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thank you all. So, you and I, we got to drive this point this home today, that God is with us. And because he's with us, that's going to change us. So I want you to go ahead and think, what changes do I need to make because of the fact that Jesus is right here with me right now? Okay? First thing we got to see is that God is near. God is near. That he's close. And it's oftentimes when things are going well, that for us, we're in the groove, everything's rocking along real good. We tend to forget that God is near because look what we did all by ourselves, right? That's what we think. But it's in times when it's hard that we remember, I need the presence of Jesus in my life right now. And so that's what happens here. And what God does is will allow circumstances to happen around us and that we have nothing to do with. Whether it's politics, in this case it's weather, or something in our family or something like that. And here there's been a famine in the land. And so it's when we're at a loss, when the bank account's hit, or our health is hit, or relational death is hit, and usually that's over stupid stuff, right? People will fuss over the stupidest things, right? And that is in those times that we say, I need to draw close to the Lord. And so they had to have rain, right? For them especially, you got to understand, in Israel, there's no Nile River, they're strictly reliant. That's why it makes no sense that God would choose this land, other than the fact that he was choosing this land for them to dwell there so that they would depend on him and not on their man-made efforts, okay? So it's there that, they had the early rains and the latter rains. Well, guess what happened? There was no rain. And the same thing happened in Abraham's life. And so they couldn't raise crops. They couldn't water their livestock. So it's time to get going. We got to find water. So they go south, and they're heading. In his mind, he's saying, "I'm going to Egypt because that's where the Nile is. There's plenty of food there. We'll be fine." But did God tell him to go to Egypt? Abraham tried to do the same thing, and eventually the children of Israel do go to Egypt. And look, y'all, we're always trying to go to Egypt. We're always trying to, if you're Egyptian, I'm sorry, no offense, but we're always, instead of going to the Lord first, just trusting Him, we just go whatever's to common sense. Because common sense says, head south, go to Egypt. But God says, no, stop. About halfway through there, verse 2, they get to Gerar, which is a little bit more fertile, but it's still the promised land. They're not quite out. They're still in the promised land. And he was on that verge, but what does God tell me? What does God tell me to do? He says to stay. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to say, in verse 2, he has two kind of sobering aspects to what God is saying. That he was going to be near to him, but it is going to be done his way. God's way and God's place for Isaac. You hear that? You got to obey him to be where he wants you to be. He said, don't go to Egypt with his food, stay in the land, and I will specially be with you in a special way. Even though you're going to be living a bunch of foreign god worshiping pagans in the land I've promised to give you, you're still going to be exactly where you need to be. All right? Does this sound familiar? You might have heard this like yesterday in your own. We all do this. But he also said, I'm going to bless you in that land. And in other words, he mentions this covenant that he gave to his daddy. And it's just a good, hey, Isaac, remember what I told your father. The same promises in faith for him are also in faith for you, because it's going to be through your offspring. All the nations of the earth will be blessed. That's ultimately the Messiah. However, listen, Isaac, be like your daddy when your daddy was at his best. Be like your daddy, Abraham, whenever he was like his best. One of the best advice that my wife and I when we first got engaged and get married, our in-laws both told us, her parents told us both that, the great stuff that we did, that was good, that was godly, do it, and do it even better than we did. The rest of the stuff that was just junk, forget about it, throw it away. Whoever that was that has impacted you spiritually, and more than likely there were several people that have impacted you. Be like them at their best. Because you are going to have a tendency, we're going to see Isaac, to be like them at their worst too. Right? They ain't Jesus. It's his presence that you need to draw near to. And there's a ton of stuff that Isaac's going to be so grateful for his father for. We're going to see that. I'll go to the same ones that Daddy did. Okay? They work for him, they work for us. Good stuff. Pretty smart. What is five statements, my statements, that Abraham listened to my voice, he listened to my charge, he listened to my commandments, he listened to my statutes, he listened to my laws. You're at a great loss right now, Isaac, but remember what I told your father Abraham, and those things are true for you too. Remember that I'm going to be especially present with you, and just as I was with your dad. You see, y'all, the obedience of one man, and I'll just make it in this case with Abraham, the obedience of one man brought blessings to his descendants. Abraham was a wealthy man by the time he died, and he gave it all to Isaac. So Isaac's already sitting pretty, but now his family. Because Abraham, it was the greatest inheritance that Abraham gave his son Isaac was obedience to the Father. The greatest blessing that you're going to give people around you, whether you have kids or not, is what they'll remember is your faithfulness to the Lord. So, what about you? What are you leaving behind? Now, I'm not talking possessions, because if we're not careful, a good prosperity gospel preacher will read this and go, God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life. Now, it's going to all happen now. That's not the point of the passage, okay? But what about me? What about you today? Your obedience is going to make an impact beyond you, beyond even your children, your grandchildren. Way to go, Isaac, right? Good job. He gets a star. Well, just give him a day. Don't mess the whole thing up, right? So, I mean, God is near. And the tendency for us is we look at this next set of verses and say, you know, God is near too when we are in sin. Well, God's present. He's present. I don't say he's close by, but Isaac clearly sins here. And there's no mention of God until after he repents. But let's break it down for a second. You would think after having God, the God of the universe, speak with Isaac, that would be enough, right? I mean, just imagine, you're doing your thing one night and you look over and God has shown up and spoken to you. The God of the universe, I mean, in a whatever, booming voice, whatever, and you think you would change right after that. You would tell everybody. He gets scared. Isaac gets scared. And fear, and you've heard that said lately, fear is a liar. Fear will make you do things that just don't make any sense. A lot of us act emotionally. We make emotional decisions instead of logical decisions. The logical thing for Isaac would have been to say, God's going to be with me. I'm going to trust him, so I'm going to do his way. Logic went out of the door because fear entered into the picture, and he went straight to what made common sense. And apparently this was a common practice. She's my sister, don't kill me, please. You know? And that your fear is a deceiver, it's a deception if we give into it, instead of giving our fear over the Lord and listen to him and step out in faith, and faith equals courage. Okay? And what is that? Just like his father did, he wasn't like his father at his best. He was like his father, Abraham, at his worst. Man, I just think, y'all, the older I get, and those of you who know my dad, oh my goodness, great stuff. There's some great stuff. I'm so happy. There's some stuff I do, and I'll hear from my wife or my kids. I'm like, yeah, that was just like daddy, you know. But this is what he does. And what happens is that people start noticing Isaac's beautiful, magnificent, hot wife, Rebecca. Okay? And instead of being her friend, yes, her lover, her husband, her protector, Isaac, and trusting God in the process. You can't do, guys, we can't do this in our own strength. Right, fellas? Can't get amen, guys. Amen. We can't love our wives in our own strength. We need his strength because just go to Ephesians chapter 5. Marriage is a supernatural thing. Okay? So he becomes a coward. And he's there, and it's the one who is not following the Lord here, Abimelech, who calls him out on it. He is more concerned about his people, the society. That if you bring this thing on us, it's going to hurt us. See, what Abimelech knew is something better than the United States of America knows, is that marriage is critical for the foundation of a society. And when marriage goes, and you change the definition of it, or you choose cohabitation or whatever, then so goes the society. Okay? It's just logic. It's just facts. So what Isaac was doing was a threat to Abimelech's kingdom. See what I'm saying here? See, Abraham. This is all the family. That they both had a famine. They both planned to go to Egypt. They both stayed in Gerar. They both called their wife their sister. They both had a problem that many of us other guys have. They had a beautiful wife, right, guys? Amen. Thank you. You're going to help me out. And Abimelech, let me say this to you. Abimelech was often a title, kind of like Caesar or Herod or Pharaoh. It was a title. But both of these Abimelechs were concerned about committing adultery, and both of them were rebuked by this Abimelech. See, Isaac's problem was that he had heard that God was with him, yet Isaac did not believe that God was with him. It's one thing for it to be here, it's another thing for it to be here and then acted upon in faith. in faith being, I'm going to trust you, God, with this, and I'm going to step out and do it this way, and I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell the truth. But then we have a big oops, right? Uh-oh, Isaac and Rebecca get busted, right? Notice what it's and whatever your version of the scripture says there, just have one that's faithful, but some say, this one, North American Standard says caressing, others say laughing, others say sporting. Oh, they're just enjoying a romantic moment together, right? Okay? And we have Isaac, who happens to be sort of laugh-a-lot, right? That's his name, that's what it means. So it's kind of a play on name, funny guy. Abimelech notices Isaac having fun with, it's called flirting, okay? Right? Having fun with his wife Rebecca in a most unsisterly way. And then you talk about awkward. He gets rebuked by the king. Calls him in. And of course, Isaac messes up. You know, here's the thing, y'all. We got to understand we're always being watched. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the nearness of God, that God is near, even when we sin, but at the same time, there's other people that don't know the Lord that are always watching us. We're always on display. I don't like that. I promise you. That's why stop. How are you going to go and make disciples of all nations if you choose to live, quote, a private life? Secondly, we live in a world where we're constantly on display. If you're on social media, you're on display. Well, I'm not on display. Guess what? Big Brother is watching you anyway, right? Everything we do is being watched. The Russians are watching, okay? So, and there's an enemy, the world, the flesh, and the devil that's watching, just looking for something to use to say, that's what Christians are all about. It can ruin our reputation and our witness. Now, not always lost with Isaac, okay? This is not, the end of his ministry, But how many times have you heard somebody say this, okay? I've heard it. I hear it every week at least. I used to go to church, but so-and-so did so-and-so, or we did business with them, and they never paid, whatever. How many churches, corporate witness has been ruined because of that? See, the unbelieving see and do not forget. 50 years from now, they will not forget. And I know it, man. That means, I'll invite folks to church, hopefully you do too. And you know it. I know some of you know it. Well, so-and-so used to date so-and-so 30 years ago. And, What if Isaac and Rebecca had never been called? And it would have been trouble eventually. Thankfully, it was known. But see, his reason for lying was to save his own neck. Pathetic and cowardly, yes. And who had the higher sense of morality? Start speaking in tongues here just a second. Abimelech was the one who caught him. And of course, even the word ignorance, Abimelech is saying, even if this was done in ignorance, that someone would have made advance toward her, it would have brought a reproach on them, even if it was done without their knowledge. Good leader, Abimelech. Isaac leaves. He's enjoying prosperity. His crops are growing wherever he goes. Wherever he goes, he becomes rich. He and the Philistines is usually what happens. Gets envious with him. Usually, whenever somebody does well with anything, right? There's going to be somebody to call him out on it and be mean to him, such as you didn't earn that by yourself, right? Old-fashioned ancient socialism, if you want to call it. That somehow you did well, you must have not got that way yourself. So we're going to take it from you, right? Or you're the kid who does well in school, and they call you out and call you nerd, right? Teacher's pet, all that kind of stuff. It's like, let me introduce you to a word. It's called study. such and such student actually earned it. Or, people say things about how maybe you're in shape or whatever. What's called sweat is this odd things that happen to your body whenever you exercise, And there's always going to be the detractors out there that wants to bring you down. So he moves on, but y'all, it's one thing to remember that sin has consequences, but God is present even when we're in sin. And we've got to remember the name of God. In Romans 2:24 says the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. It's just important to believe that we remember that God is with us, no matter what. And you just make that personal. I mean, for me, a lot of times just by virtue of what I get to do, I love what I get to do, it can be a lonely place. For you, maybe you're in charge of the business, and you can't be everybody's friend, Or you're the teacher, or you're the coach, or you're the one that the buck stops with you. And it's just sometimes you feel alone. Or we just live in a time when people are going through all types of different adversity and struggle, and there's grief and depression. I mean, every time you turn around, you hear some kind of story about someone going through depression, suicide, that kind of thing. And we have to remember to tell them, God is present with you, even when you sin. You see, sometimes our own sin is what we get depressed over. We've got to remember we have someone who went to the cross so that he could be near us, to take away our sin. Okay? Thirdly here, God is near when we're at war. I mean, you would think everything's going to be fine because he's repented, and that's true. He's a changed man. Isaac seems to learn his lessons. From here on out, you don't see him going back to being like his daddy in the way that he was. Nothing's mentioned positively. He stays put. He actively obeys God. And really, I should have put an equal sign there. That a changed man equals someone who actively obeys God. Not just waits for it to come hit him upside the head, but chooses to step out and trust God and obey what God told him to do. And that's what he does. And he chooses to plant himself there. You see, everyone else is floundering all around him, but Isaac is prospering 100-fold. That's a pretty good return on investment, right? I'll invest $1 and I get 100 back. I mean, I'd be busting out some dollars right now if I found out that that's the kind of return I could get. It was rare right then, but it happened. And again, here, you've got vandalism taking place. Here, just like that, sounds like the cover of the Clayton Tribune here. The water rights. Water rights are important. You got to have water, right, folks? If you don't have water, you can't drink. You can't. There's no plumbing. I mean, just have the water go out on you. It's worse when the internet goes out, But it seems as though Isaac, everywhere he went, he found water. And he remembered what his father told him. There's some wisdom there. I mean, somewhere along the line, I learned, I don't know, it was in my 20s somewhere, that my parents weren't as dumb as I thought they were. It's amazing how that happens. And he's driven away, verse 21 there, he's driven away by the Philistines. Isaac is encamped there in that valley. He continues to search for water. And notice what he does there. He calls them by their original names. But also it's just kind of neat that at each one he says, all right, fine, I'll just call it contention, all right? That's what that Esek means. Sitting up, all right, I'll call that one hatred. Have a nice day. He calls it for what it is, but what's interesting, until he gets to Rehoboth, which means wide place, a nice room. I've got room now. This is God's place for me. Here's the lesson I think here. God's near when we're at war, but I think we also have to remember you don't have to fight every battle that comes along. Isaac, in these two cases, he refused to fight back. I mean, he named it something colorful just to get the point across. But I think some of us live in such a way that we think every time we get crossed, we're coming out swinging, right? And that's just wrong. I mean, that's Jesus taught, turn the other cheek. He's saying, stay there, but you don't have to fight every battle. Some things are just better left alone. And then there are some hills that are worth dying on. Okay? We're going to die anyway. It's going to be with our last breath. But some issues, just let it lie. And quite frankly, there's some, you just leave them behind. Because they're just going to fuss and fight and go on and on and on and waste a lot of your precious time and resources. Go see the bigger picture. I think that's what Isaac was doing. He was seeing the bigger picture. And by doing so, he became a blessing to those around him twice. God appears to him the second time. And God is more emphatic this time with Isaac. And here, since God is really with him. The first, if you look earlier, the first promise to Isaac was future. I will be with you. Right? There in verses 22 and 23, he says, 24, for I am with you. It's not I will be with you, I am with you. Here, now, presently. And it's not that Isaac earned it. It was that they now have more track record together. The God of Israel now has a track record with Isaac. And now we're getting closer here. And Isaac responds. Just as he builds an altar there, just like his dad did. He's being like his dad whenever he was at his best. He's being like his dad when he's saying, put down roots, son. Put down roots. Trust, faith, and obedience wherever God's called you to be. Now, that does beg the question, for you and me, here's your homework. Where's God called me to be? And for the most part, and this is totally great, we got to put down roots somewhere. Right here is great. However, God may be calling some of you, some of us, to go somewhere else. Put down roots there. And be the man or woman God's called you to be there. And be a blessing there. That's the point. That's also what we call missions. It's what we call church planting. It's how nations and cultures and everything gets changed, is that we go and we plant down roots there. I think as we're there, we need to listen. Just this key is believing God is always spatially and specially with you, and that's life altering. Your life will change when it's not just that God is my co-pilot. He is with me, and He'll never leave me. He'll never forsake me. And it's remembering too that there's only one time when God turned His back on one of His own, and it was on the cross. When you start to understand that He is everywhere, that He created the planets and the stars and everything else, but He's the God who's right here with me, always. But then there was a time for 3 hours that He withdrew His presence and poured His wrath on His Son. Because He was making the God of the universe was making war against sin and death, so that you and I could be with Him forever. But the key is He's with me right now, or all around me, and He's in me now because of what Jesus did on the cross. Lastly here, God is near when we are at peace. It's not just at war, but it's also at peace. You have this confab here between Abimelech, after he's kicked them out, now Abimelech is coming to him. And I'm sure, verse 26, 27, Isaac is saying, why are you here? I mean, you've been hating on me this whole time. And he's shocked. But if you look at the interchange between him and Abimelech now, I think Isaac is seeing for him what's true for all of us, is that you might not win a popularity contest when you trust the Lord and you know that He's with you. You might not win that popularity contest, but those who live in Christ's presence will be honored in the end. and even by those who don't claim to know him. I mean, Abimelech recounts everything, his amazing water finding capability, his rise in prominence in the area. Certainly this 100-fold, we've got to do something here. So he makes a peace treaty, basically, that same one that the previous Abimelech had made with his father. And they renew that, and they make an oath together, and that God's blessing was going to be on the sons of Abraham. Isaac was the rightful heir. It's going to happen to him. Y'all, today, as we live today, God's presence will be seen by unbelievers as we Christians navigate the ups and downs of life. They're watching. And hopefully you don't just congregate in your own little Christian cell all the time. Hopefully you got relationships that you are making where you work or where you play or where your kids or grandkids play, that you're making those relationships so that they can come to know who Jesus is. And they're watching, and you didn't actually tell them about Jesus. It's an opportunity that we've got every single day. And people are watching how we do our business, how we pay our bills, how we spend our time, the things that we don't give our time to. We have a witness together out in the community. Let's do it. Let's use it for His glory. And it's also, too, that it's not just for when things are going well. It's for when we lose, too. People are watching whenever there's a death. I'll tell you, there's a guy I got to know. He's not a believer. Pretty angry about it. But he's not from this part of the world, this country. I mean, he's from this country, but he's not part of the South. But where he came from up north, there's hardly any Christians there. And he moved here. And you see, you know what made the difference? That just got him thinking and talking. He's not Christian yet. He said it was how, the way he put it, little old ladies would just take food to people that were going through hard times. Somebody died. I mean, nobody does that from where I'm from, Yeah. It's what we're seeing here. When there's stuff that goes down in our families, people are watching. He's blessed, but he's not perfect. Esau, we'll take that up at another time, but he's rebellious. It's who he marries and just, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that our kids or that the kids after them will follow the Lord and make good decisions. Be a blessing to your parents, kids, first off. Stay faithful. Here's both parents and children. Stay faithful when family doesn't. You stay faithful. It'll make a big impact. 3 questions, and I'm gonna ask you to do this on your own. And maybe just take some time this afternoon. But just answer these 3 questions about God being near and how that nearness shapes out in all your relationships. First off, do you believe that God will be with you in what you're facing this week, month, and year? And you might need to write down, okay, this is what I'm facing. These are some challenges I've got at work. These are some areas of obedience and faithfulness I know I need to step up. Do you believe that God's with you in that? Like, well, yeah, it's up here, but here is it? He's right here, and how to invite him into it. Invite him into the whole decision-making process. Ask him what you would have. Ask him what he would have you to do. And if you ain't got a clue, ask him. Secondly, do you believe that God is with you right now in space, specifically right now in your hurt and adversity? So this is talking about right now. The first question was the future. Right now, whatever you're facing right now, whatever you're hurting in. Maybe there's something we talk about in terms of relationships or whatever. Church hurt. Just in your own hurt, do you believe He's with you right there? Invite Him in. It's not like He's not there, but approach Him. Thirdly here, do you believe that God has been with you all of these years and ups and downs? Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. mom's favorite hymn, still is. Learn from your parents. They're godly or spiritual parents who are related to the Lord. You learn from them. And if he can answer all those three questions, and he's been with you all along, don't fear. When Noah was preaching all those years, building that boat for 120 years, and people made fun of him, he was not alone. When David stood before Goliath, that 13-foot tall giant, and he looked alone, he was not alone. The God of his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were with him. And he'll be with you too. That's impossible if you don't know him. So today, I'm going to challenge, invite you to turn to Jesus. If you haven't done so, all of what we're doing here in Genesis is pointing to Jesus. If you haven't had a relationship with him yet, you can't earn it. You can't be good enough. I just invite you to say, Lord Jesus, thank you for what you did for me on the cross. That took away all my sin and death. I give you my life now. I'm yours. If that's you, we're going to pray just a moment and give you that opportunity. Let's bow our heads. Father, we come to you, Jesus. Thank you for being our Savior. And there's folks here today that just don't know what that means for you to be their Savior. Or perhaps they've seen it and heard it for the first time today and they haven't surrendered to you yet. So, Lord Jesus, we ask you to open up their eyes and draw them, and Lord, that they would know beyond any shadow of doubt that you are with them, especially because they have a relationship with you through Jesus. So, Lord, work in our hearts now. Everybody needs to pray that. You go right ahead and pray that in your own heart, your own way. Give your heart to Jesus now.